I am very torn on Dial of Destiny because I think there is a very great film lurking here, but the way they structured things, they kind of left a much better plot and set of characters for the ones that they gave us. So what is occurring? Well, the basic gist is a Nazi Voller, played very well by Mads Mikkelsen, thinks to go back in time to ironically kill Hitler to basically take over and do a better job as the Fuhrer. And of course, Indiana and friends are going to try to stop the Nazi from destroying history. And fun and adventure ensues, and etc., etc. So, was this a pretty good film? Yes. I think it had many weak moments, and some people were complaining about the length, but I think the length was actually fairly well justified. What I have an issue with is the structure because they have a massive, great twist. I'm not going to give too many details, but I have to give one detail: is they meet Archimedes. So yes, there is a time travel element, and Indiana Jones does meet Archimedes, the Greek mathematician and inventor, and that's a big part of the entire plot. And it's a massive twist. It's a really good twist. But the more I thought about it, and I'm not joking, I think the story would have been better off if they focused on Indiana, Teddy of a kind of kid sidekick, Waller, and Archimedes, and made them the center of the story and just moved around the plot a little bit. But instead, what we get is basically Indiana meeting up with Helena, who is a goddaughter, who we've never seen before. They just invented her out of nowhere. And so essentially, it's him and the goddaughter making a team with Teddy against Waller and his Nazis. And that's most of the film. It's that they don't like one another at first, but slowly Helena and Indiana Jones become a team. And a lot of people are complaining about Helena and the feminism and Phoebe, etc., etc. And I actually share some of these criticisms. I didn't like her in many scenes, but in a few scenes she was actually very strong. So it's a very uneven performance. But I think the bigger issue is they made the Helena story so big to sort of have a compare and contrast to Indiana, right? He tries to search for objects for historical value. She's in it for the money. She's a hustler. And that's the basic story. And Waller is there as the antagonist. But the more and more I thought about it, really the interesting story would be him, Teddy, Archimedes, and Waller. Because between Waller and Indiana Jones, there's a very interesting debate about history and how it works. And now you have Archimedes, and then you have this kid who is also someone who is manipulating history, but just for money. And so you think to yourself, great story here about these four individuals and their perspective on science and learning things for either gaining knowledge or gaining power. And they have different perspectives. They're like, story, focus on those four people, make that story much closer together, but instead it's really a Helena, Indiana Jones adventure story. And again, I don't hate Phoebe. I don't even hate Helena. She has a few good scenes, but I think that's where the film got lost. It has a very strong opening. It has a very strong ending. Again, I'm just saying that they meet Archimedes. I'm not going to give more details because that was an amazing section. And they have some decent action scenes in the middle, but I think they really lost their way, focusing too much on Helena and focusing too much even on Indiana Jones, where it would have been better if Indiana Jones and Waller and Archimedes and the kid's sidekick and they were the focus, and don't get rid of Helena, just diminish her and bring these other minor characters, because there's a lot of great cameos, a lot of great minor characters, but they're not utilized very well, and I think that's where the film could have been a lot better. As it is, it's a very decent Indiana Jones film. It's a really good adventure story, but then it has this very great historical moment at the end, but they didn't do much with it, and so it's disappointing. So I do recommend it, but I do feel there was a stronger movie, but they kind of got distracted focusing too much on Helena, and I think, in retrospect, that was not the right choice.